Good day, everyone.
Good day, ma'am.
Good day, ma'am.
Good morning. So, how is everyone doing?
We're doing good po.
We're
How
doing
about
great,
you, ma'am?
ma'am.
I'm glad to hear that. So, for today, we are going to talk about comparative form. So, first, let's discuss or let's define what is a comparative form. So, who would like to read?
Ma'am.
Yes, Bianca.
Comparative form is used to compare either the similarity or difference between two people, ideas, or things.
Okay, so for us to further understand this definition, we have here a conversation between two friends. Now, may I ask Russell and Bianca to read the conversation? Russell, you're going to be the person M, and Bianca, you're going to be person Y. Is that clear?
Okay, ma'am.
You may now begin.
Hey, how have you been?
I'm doing great.
Have you seen the new movie based on the book you recently finished reading?
Yes, the film is as well received as the novel, but I'd say the movie adaptation is not as thrilling as the book version.
How do you say so?
Well, the story is interpreted as romantically as a typical teenage fiction rather than a dystopian novel as it was originally.
I heard that they tried to keep the script the same as the famous lines in the movie. Is that correct?
Fortunately, even though the plot was nearly wrapped of the original theme of the novel, there are still scenes that feels like a perfect cutout from the book.
Is the movie your money worth?
I certainly would rather read the novel all over again.
Thank you, Russell and Bianca. Now that we have read the conversation, I would like you to enumerate the comparison that you found in the conversation. Now, who would like to give one?
Ma'am,
Yes, Russell.
one of the comparisons that I found in the recorded conversation is the film is as well received as the novel.
Thank you, Russell. So, one is the film is as well received as the novel. Who would like to give another?
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
I think that the movie adaptation is not as thrilling as the book version.
Okay, that's correct. The movie adaptation is not as thrilling as the book version. Next.
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
another comparison is the story is interpreted as romantically as a typical teenage fiction.
Okay, so the third is the story is interpreted as romantically as a typical teenage fiction. And who would like to give another?
Ma'am,
Yes, Russell.
um, they tried to keep the script the same as the famous lines in the movie.
So for the fourth one, they tried to keep the script the same as the famous lines in the movie. And the last one, who would like to give the last
Ma'am,
comparison? Yes, Benedict.
there are still scenes that feels like a perfect cut out from the book.
So for letter E, there are still scenes that feel like pages perfectly cut out from the book. Okay, very good. So you've identified the five comparison or the five phrases that shows comparisons of two things in the conversation. Now, what I would like you to do is to identify the two things that is being identified in the phrase. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so who would like
Yes,
to
ma'am.
try for letter A?
I would like to try it po.
Yes, Russell.
Um, the two things being compared from the given conversation is film and novel.
Okay, so let's check. Okay, that's correct. So the two things that are being compared in the phrase is the film and the novel. Next, for letter B.
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
movie adaptation and book version.
Okay, the answer is movie adaptation and the book version. For letter C.
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
for the letter C, the two things that are being compared are story and teenage fiction.
Okay, so the two things are the story and the teenage fiction. For number or for letter D rather.
Ma'am,
Yes, Russell.
um, the two things being compared are script and famous lines.
Okay, so script and famous lines. And for the last phrase.
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
The two things that were being compared in the given conversation is scenes and pages.
Okay, so let's check. So the two things being compared in this phrase are the scenes and the pages. Now that we've answered or we've identified the words or the things that are compared in this conversation, let's proceed to our lesson. So we have here the first phrase that we used earlier in the conversation. The film is as well received as a novel. Now, what I would like you to do is to identify which part of speech do these words or do these underlined words belong. So, who would like to try for this first phrase?
Ma'am.
Yes, Russell.
I think po the word film is noun plus is as be verb and well received as adjective and the novel is noun.
Okay, so let's check. So that's correct. So the film is a noun, the is a be verb, the well received is an adjective, and the novel is another noun. So here's my question. What do you notice in the arrangement of words in the sentence?
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
the adjective is in between two nouns.
Okay, so that's correct. The adjective is in between two nouns. Now, this phrase is an example of our first comparative form, which is the as plus adjective plus as. So this comparative form is used to compare two equal qualities of two people, ideas, places, or things. So in the phrase, the film is well received as a novel, the comparison form used to show the similarity between the film and the novel used the form as plus as, or rather as plus adjective plus as form. And this is used apparently to compare these two equal qualities of the people, the ideas, or the things. So the sentence pattern or the sentence structure is as follows: subject plus be verb plus adjective plus as and plus noun. Now, who would like to read the first sentence?
Ma'am,
Yes, Russell.
the first sentence is her hands are as dry as the asphalt.
Okay, very good. Now, can you please identify the arrangement or the structure, the sentence structure of this example?
Yes, ma'am. Her hands is the subject, are is the be verb, as dry as is the as plus adjective plus as, and the asphalt is noun.
Okay, that's very good. So for letter B, would like to read.
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
his feet are as cold as popsicles.
Can you identify the parts or the sentence structure of this example?
Okay. His feet is the subject, are is the be verb, as cold as is the as plus adjective plus as, and the popsicles is the noun.
Okay, very good. So is that clear to you? Is that comparative form is clear to you?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so let's proceed to our next comparative form. Now we have here the phrase the story is interpreted as romantically as a typical teenage fiction. I would like you to again identify the parts of speech do these words or do these underlined words belong. So would like to try.
I would like to try again, ma'am.
Yes, Russell.
Um, the word story is noun. The interpreted is verb, and the word romantically is adjective, and teenage fiction is noun.
So let's check. So the story is the noun, the interpreted is the verb, and romantically is actually an adverb. So sorry, that was my mistake. So it's an adverb, and the teenage fiction is a noun. Now this leads us to our next comparative form, which is the as plus adverb plus as. So this shows the similarity of the manner or how things are done between two actions. So it's the sentence pattern it follows is subject plus verb plus adverb plus as and plus noun. So in the sentence, the story is interpreted, or the phrase the story is interpreted as romantical as a typical teenage fiction. The comparative form used is as plus adverb, which is the romantically plus as to compare the two actions that are equal in some way. So here another example. So would like to read letter A.
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
Conan drives as carefully as Olivia.
Can you identify the sentence structure or the sentence pattern?
Yes, ma'am. So Conan is the subject, drives is the verb, as as carefully as is the as plus adverb plus as, and Olivia is the noun.
Thank you, Benedict. So for letter B, who would like to read?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
Melanie dances as gracefully as her sister.
So can you please identify the sentence structure?
Okay. Melanie is the subject, dances is the verb, as gracefully as is the as plus adverb plus as, and her sister is the noun, the NP.
Thank you, Bianca. So that's correct. Do you have any question with regards to this comparative form?
None, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Okay, so let's proceed to our next example. The movie adaptation is not as thrilling as the book version. Who would like to identify the parts of speech in this example?
Ma'am.
Yes, Russell.
Um, the movie adaptation is noun, is be verb, thrilling is adjective, and book version is noun.
So let's check. So you're correct. So the movie adaptation or movie adaptation is a noun, is the be verb, thrilling is the adjective, and book version is a noun. So what do you notice in the sentence?
ma'am,
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
there is a comparison between the nouns in a negative way.
Okay, so that's correct. There is a comparison between the nouns in a negative way. So that leads us to our third comparative form, which is the not as plus adjective plus as. This is used to show the contrast of their qualities. So in the phrase, the movie adaptation is not as thrilling as the book version, there is a comparison between the difference of the movie adaptation and the book version. To show the contrast of their qualities, not as plus adjective plus as pattern is used following the sentence structure. Subject plus be verb plus not as plus adjective plus as and plus noun. So here are other examples. Who would like to read letter A?
Ma'am.
Yes, Russell.
Josh is not as enthusiastic as Justin. Josh is the subject, is the be verb, and not as enthusiastic as is not as plus adjective plus as, and Justin is noun.
Thank you, Russell. So who would like to read letter B?
ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
movies are not as interesting as books. Movies is the subject, are is the be verb, not as interesting as is the not as plus adjective plus as, and books is the noun.
Thank you, Benedict. So now let's proceed to our next example. By the way, is that comparative form is clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
proceed to our next example. We have here, they tried to keep the script the same as the famous lines in the movie. Now, I would like you to identify the word that is used to show the comparison of the two things being compared in this phrase. So, what do you think is that word?
Ma'am.
Yes, Russell.
It is same as.
Very good. So, the answer is same as. So, this is our fourth comparative form, same or same as. There is comparison between two things that are happening in a way that is similar or exactly the same. So, the same or the same as pattern is followed by as and not by that or than. Let's go to this example for further explanation. So for letter A, the memories they are making are much the same as ours. The memories are the memories that they made are being compared to the recent memory that the speaker is making. So they use the word same or same as. Who would like to read for letter B?
Ma'am.
Yes, Rosa.
She loves Japanese food the same as her mother.
Okay, so what do you think are the two things being compared in this sentence?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
the Japanese food and her mother.
Okay, so the things being compared in this sentence is that they both that the speaker or that the subject she loves Japanese food the same as her mother. So is that comparative form clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this form, you should always remember that the two things being compared is happening in a way that is similar or exactly the same as the other. Unlike the first comparative forms that we use, whereas the other is in higher or in a positive or in a negative way. So the things being compared here is happening exactly the same. So is that clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so let's proceed to our last example. Our last comparative form is like. So this appeals to the verb of the senses followed by a noun or noun phrase. Like can be used to other verb of the senses such as look, seem, sound, and feel. So let's see our example here. Who would like to read letter A?
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
she looks like her mother with her long hair.
So for our letter A, the sentence is she looks like her mother with her long hair. So the sense or the verb of the sense that is being appealed to this sentence is the looks or the physical sense. So for letter B, who would like to try? Or who would like to read?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
my feet feel like they are about to fall off from standing too long.
Okay, so the verb of the sense that is used in this sentence is feel. So is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So in our last comparative form, it is best that you remember that when using the word like, it should follow or it should be following a verb of the sense. It could be the taste, feels, the looks. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now that we have tackled the five comparative forms, let us have a quick recap. Who can give me one comparative form?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
the pattern as plus adjective plus as. It is used to compare two equal qualities of two people, ideas, places, or things.
Very good. So who would like to give another?
Ma'am.
Yes, Russell, rather.
Um, as plus adverb plus as. It shows the similarity of the manner or how things are done between two actions.
Okay, very good. So who would like to give the third comparative form?
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
not as plus adjective plus as. It is used to show the contrast of their qualities.
Okay, very good. So who would like to give the fourth comparative form?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
the same as. Comparison between two things that are happening in a way that is similar or exactly the same.
Okay, very good. So our our last comparative form is
Ma'am,
like. Who would like to define? Yes, Benedict.
like. Like appeals to the verb of the senses.
Okay, very good. So it seems like that you really understand our lesson for today. So let's proceed to our activities. Let's have our first exercise. So in this exercise, we have to rephrase the following statements using the as, not as, the same as, or like pattern. For number one, who would like to answer?
Ma'am,
Yes?
um, I am more interested in watching TV than reading. My answer is I am not as interested in reading as I am in watching TV.
Okay, let's check if your answer is correct. So that's correct. The answer is I'm not as interested in reading as I am in watching TV. So for number two, who would like to try?
Ma'am.
Yes, Bianca.
Number two, things cost the same here as in my country. The answer is things are as expensive or are as expensive here as in my country.
Okay, so let's check. So the answer is things are as expensive or either as cheap here as in my country. So for our third sentence, who would like to try?
Ma'am,
Yes, Benedict.
we have a lot more holidays in Spain than you do.
Okay, so what do you
Uh,
think is the answer?
uh, you have nowhere near as many holidays as we have in Spain.
Okay, let's check if your answer is correct. So that's correct. The answer is you have nowhere near as many holidays as we have in Spain. So for our fourth sentence, who would like to try?
Ma'am,
Yes, Russell.
I'm a little bit better at maths than I am science. My answer is I am not quite as good at science as I am in math.
Okay, so let's check if your answer is correct. So that's right. I'm not quite as good at science as I am in math. So for our last sentence in this exercise, who would like to try?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
my grandfather is becoming much less active as he gets older. My answer is my grandfather is not nearly as active as he used to.
So let's check if your answer is correct. So that's right. My grandfather is not nearly as active as he used to. So very good class. It seems like that you really have grasped our lesson for today. So let's move on to our last activity for this lesson. So here we have here a conversation, and what I would like you to do is complete the conversation with less or not as and the words in parentheses. Make the verbs negative only when not is given. So for our letter A or for our first conversation, may I ask Russell to be Tina and Bianca to be Don and Bennett to be or Benedict to be Jackie.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, you may begin.
Your new camera is not as big as your old one.
I know it is not as heavy as my old X2000, but it is as expensive too.
Well, that's true. It is not as stylish, but it is as expensive.
Very good, class. So let's check if your answers are correct. So that's right. For our first statement, our sentence is your new camera is not as big as your old one. So Russell is correct. For our next sentence, I know it is not as heavy as my old X2000, but it is as expensive too. So Bianca is also correct. And lastly, Jackie, well, that's true. It's not as stylish, but it is as expensive. So Benevic is also right. Now, who would like to try our next conversation?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bianca.
Ma'am,
And Benevic. So Bianca, you will be Chris, and Benevic, you will be Mike.
okay,
You
ma'am.
may now begin. Okay.
Check out this new coffee machine. It looks great. Ours is not as fancy as this new one.
well, it's definitely fancier than ours, but it is not as efficient. It does not make coffee as quickly, and the coffee does not taste as good.
Thank you, Bianca and Benevic. Now let's check if your answers are correct. So for our first sentence, check out this new coffee machine. It looks great. Ours is not as fancy as this new one. So Bianca is correct. And for our last sentence, well, it's definitely fancier than ours, but it is not as efficient. It does not make coffee as quickly, and the coffee does not taste as good. So Benedict is correct as well. So very good, class. So all your answers are correct, and you answered this activity very efficiently. Now, do you have any questions or any more clarifications?
None,
None,
ma'am.
ma'am.
None, ma'am.
Okay, as your homework, I would like to ask you to write a 200-word essay comparing the difference between your favorite novel or book series and its movie or TV series version. I would post a I would post in the Google Classroom where you can send or attach your files. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, very good. So that's it for our lesson for today. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you always keep safe, be safe out there, and make good choices. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye, class.
Goodbye,
Goodbye,
ma'am.
Bye,
Thank
ma'am.
you
ma'am.
po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.